segue. Howdy, whoever's watching. This is the segue into Origins slash Superstars. Uh, you guys can follow the same talking order. I'll leave it to y'all.
Origins is there's no difference, and it's not even the Whitehead version.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just kind of intro Origins. So Origins, of course, the original version of Origins came out digitally back in 2022. Released for $40, and it was $45 for the deluxe, which came with a bunch of frivolous bullshit. And then Origins Plus came out this year. It was a physical version that came with an art book, or you can get the digital upgrade. It was $40 for the physical version, and then it was a $10 upgrade for existing owners of Origins. That was regardless if you already own the deluxe version. So the Origins upgrade, or the Plus upgrade for existing Origins owners, came with the deluxe content. But
stupid.
Yeah, but if you already had the deluxe content, as in you bought the deluxe edition or you just bought the deluxe pack, you would have to spend the $10 still just to get the Plus upgrades, which are as follows. You get Amy playable in all of the 4 games. Knuckles was added in Sonic CD because he wasn't prior. And then there were, I believe, 8 or 9 Game Gear games. It was pretty much all of the mainline Sonic games.
It was a Sonic Mega Collection for modern stuff with many possibilities. And as fun as that, cool as that sounds, it's not, because we've done this already before.
Wasn't the whole point, though, was to get the new and improved versions out on modern consoles and PC again?
Yeah, but they're not.
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously, right, you know, we just passed, I mean, not too long ago, we passed the 30th anniversary of Sonic. Obviously, Frontiers was delayed out of 2021. I think most people know that, right? It was delayed about a year. So that was originally meant to be a 30th anniversary title. And I believe
with the wait. I'm okay with that.
And
no, I think that's fine. I'm not saying that was a bad thing. Just saying because it was originally meant to be a anniversary title. The same thing, right, with Mania. That was meant to be the I believe the 25th anniversary or something like that, or around then. But it got delayed out of the, I think, 2016 or whatever. And they were trying to do it around that time. But anyway, so just so we kind of go over just Origins, right? So it comes with Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles CD, and then obviously Origins Plus came with the Game Gear games, and then it came with a bunch of like fun little additions, right? Like the jukebox mode, the mission mode, as well as the animated cutscenes that happen. But I guess I'll like kind of go through the same talking order that Ronald was. Well, Michael, you didn't play it, right?
No, I think I played the version of CD, surprisingly enough, that's included on this one. But outside of that, I haven't played the actual collection of Origins Plus, so...
Okay, so it was mainly just us. Well, I mean...
It was you, Digi, like... MM, right?
Yeah. Is there like... Well, I'll just ask you just because you're the only one who hasn't played it. Is there like a specific reason why like you didn't feel the need to purchase it?
At least with vanilla, it was all the glitches. And then I just never got around to it. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's on sale. Like, I would like to have it because, again, it's just like the updated versions. But at the time, it was just mainly like the gameplay issues. I was just like, I'll wait on that, and then waiting on it ended up being like, I haven't gotten it yet.
I see. Yeah, because the game, when it released, there were a bunch of bugs. Unfortunately, this collection was rushed, which is pretty unfortunate. It's still getting patches, which is crazy. It got a patch yesterday.
Jeez.
So it's still getting patched, which is kind of nuts. That it, this collection was buggy. But yeah,
I've Frontiers will get patched too then.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I believe in Frontier still getting updates. I don't think this game is gonna die. I feel
they'll be very quiet though. They'll be on the sneak.
Yeah, like bug, like like hot fixes, like bug fixes, but no content updates at this point.
And I feel like if they really cared about Frontiers and if they really heard the reception and like if this is let's say I don't want to see this all the time for platformers. I do not want to see platformers follow this route. But if they do these quote unquote free season passes to do plot and story, and it even like add more actual stuff to the game and fix the game over time, that I'm okay with that. Like and if that's all on their terms, like if they really care about the game, because Frontiers did sell well. It has got average to good reception. So like,
yeah, okay.
I know that sounds like super optimistic. I'm not even.
No,
I don't even want, because I know, like, let's say even what other platformer would do some stupid shit like this. Fucking imagine if Crash Bandicoot had a season pass and like every season pass was just 4 new portals.
Crash Team Rumble.
No, I'm dead ass serious. But this is what I don't want to see, because like even if it's free, it just makes it feel like, well, why didn't they just finish the game, or like say even the base game.
Basically, you want it jam packed from the get go.
Yeah, because
a la most Mario games.
Not even jam packed is the thing. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't. I love it when there's a ton of stages and secrets and shit.
No, yeah, that's amazing. If there's already that from the get go, that's god tier. But I'm saying, like, if they want to build to that, I'm down.
I think I mean, this is more like a modern gaming issue rather than just a Sonic specific issue where games come out and in many instances they're either unfinished or buggy, or the content was cut to sell back to you later, or content was cut so they can release a game on time and then just hopefully try to add it back in over time. That just happens everywhere. I think regarding, you know, trying to talk about Origins, but regarding Frontier specifically, I do think that game was finished, and due to its reception, I think was given the green light to add additional content to the game. I don't think it was like that stuff was cut out. I think those ideas were probably on the cutting room floor, like the playable characters, but it wasn't like cut content. It was like, man, I wish we can do this, but we don't have enough like time to implement this stuff, and then the DLC basically gave them the budget to implement such things. So that's just how games are. I mean, there's games that come out that are complete at launch and there's no issues, you know, mostly indie games, right? They kind of come out and they're good. Yeah. But I also don't have issues with, you know, games that add free content over time. Games with season passes, I mean, that's kind of like a case-by-case situation, right? You know, like fighting games with character passes, you can kind of determine... Yeah, you can kind of determine whether or not that's worth it.
I have spent more money on season passes than a League player does skins.
Probably. Anyway, trying to take it back to Origins, right? Origins, had the Plus update, which, I mean, is paid for, but so was Encore mode or Plus mode in Sonic Mania. So you do have that. That parallel, although I believe Plus, the Encore mode update for original Mania owners was only $5. Now granted, that was
the DLC with Mighty and Ray, and then like their own routes and new stages.
Yeah, you had like the remixed modes and whatever, and the remixed like special stages, but I mean, you can determine whether or not this is more content. I mean, it does come with like 8 or 9 Game Gear games. So, I mean, you can say, well, I guess that's worth the $10 admission. I don't know, right? Because the Mania DLC came with 2 new playable characters as opposed to this just having 1. So, that's up to you. But anyway, so I mean, Origins in of itself, there's not too much to say. So, right, they basically, instead of emulating the games, they ported them to the Retro engine, which is the same engine that was used for Sonic Mania. That is for all of the games. It was mainly worked on by the same team as Mania. Christian Whitehead was not involved in this one, to my knowledge. I believe Stealth was, so he was involved in this, but Christian Whitehead had nothing to do with this. So, with that being said, you basically get the Sonic 1 and 2 mobile ports that were made by Christian Whitehead on consoles. So you get the widescreen support. And I believe you also get like Hidden Palace Zone in Sonic 2. I think that's in this. Is it? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you do have that. You also have certain things that were just kind of changed for the better or worse. So right in this Sonic CD,
there's some routes in CD where it's made to be easy. There's routes and past and present signs that are fixed in different locations to make it easier for players to gain speed and to be kind of still bait to fuck with you in some spots.
I see.
That's where CD shines. But like, you know, that's your own call if you like being stabbed for no reason.
I think yeah, I didn't actually know that. I would kind of prefer if they didn't touch the game's layout at all, personally. But this kind of gets into like one of the first problems of the game, which is
that's why I always think like Origins is it's a depend by, because you have to really know which. Well, this isn't really nitpicky to like the average gamer, like player, like person playing, haha, Mario Sonic go burr. But like to a Sonic fan, you if you love 2 or 3, and you played going like Genesis 2 and 3, and then you grew up with those and go play the Whitehead versions of 2, 3, and CD, you're gonna feel some changes.
Yeah, I mean that's just natural. But one of the issues though in the collection is there is an anniversary mode, which is the widescreen version that they have with the coins instead of lives. There's no lives in any of the versions of the games, which is fine. I think it doesn't really matter too much because I mean for the most part Sonic games are not too difficult. So
States.
Yeah, so it's not really a big deal anyway. But there is
in video games is a concept now.
Yeah. So there is like a classic mode that they have, which is like a 4:3 like aspect ratio, but it's still the same game in the retro engine. It's not like an emulated version. Which I think the reason why they did that is because they couldn't do it for Sonic 3 and Knuckles because of the music. So I think they were just like, well, fuck it, let's just kind of make it look like it's the original, but it's not. And that's a little disingenuous, so I'm not a big fan of that.
The music changed too, so if you're weird with that, you know.
Yeah, so some of the music changes, right? They have, Sonic 3, of course, changed Ice Cap, Carnival Night, Launch Base to the prototype versions before Michael Jackson was involved with the soundtrack. Yeah. So those are the same songs that were used for the Sonic and Knuckles PC collection version that was released later on. So, unfortunately, you do not have some of the best songs in the game being used anymore.
I'm gonna be real. I feel like ever since like they started doing collections where Sonic 3 wasn't in their collections, like the Ultimate Sega collection thing they did recently, I think it got less attention. Like more people were just like, bro, what happened to Sonic 3 with Michael's music? I'm over it.
Yeah, you think everyone who's a fan of it would know, you know, the drill, like the whole rights issue, especially with that. Because like, there's no way Sega's gonna strong arm Sony, because Sony owns the Michael Jackson estate rights. Like, but yeah, people will be like, no, you know, Michael Jackson songs, no buy. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, no.
Like, I understand they're great, but it's just like, fuck. That.
I think like for the average person, like it's fine, right? But for me, where you know I really like Sonic 3. I mean,
yeah,
you know
of course,
yes. That is kind of like not good. Like that's
it's
pretty
definitely
bad.
Not good.
Well,
it's
I mean,
just
like,
I don't know if they're gonna ever not do that at this point.
Well, now that they've established this with Origins, they're not touching those songs ever again. That's dead in the water. They're never coming back unless like
which is
something outside of their control changes, right? It's not going to happen from within Sega. They're not going to pursue anything
they make us another
with these
collection
tracks.
and it slips by accident for a year and no one notices. No, we're just all happy it's here, so no one says anything.
Yeah, I feel you.
One of the first mods on the PC version was to put the music back in.
Oh yeah,
I think most people do that.
Yeah,
but there's also weird situations, right? Because the lyrics for the Japanese intro of Sonic CD were added back in for this version, because if you remember, the 2011 Sonic CD did not have lyrics.
Yeah.
So, not really sure what happened legality-wise between then and now. I don't know like who came forward to say like, hey, can we get these lyrics, or something lapsed and they added them back in. No idea. But it's good to see, right?
Yeah.
Good to see.
Like it.
There's also animated intro cutscenes and ending cutscenes by Tyson Hess, which is really good to see as well. They also have a mode where you can play each of the games back to back in like one long adventure, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's nice to see. And then you have the mission mode, which basically gives various like challenges remixed from Sonic 1, 2, 3, and CD.
Yeah.
Just like little, you know, kind of like stuff like from the Generations games where you had those like challenges. It's similar to that, where you have some like levels with like specific gimmicks where it's like, oh, this is all just like rotating platforms, or this one is Tails, you gotta go through like a place surrounded by spikes. It's kind of stuff like that. It's okay. I mean, it's just kind of like padding to make it worth more, which is kind of the issue. Is when this game came out, it was not worth $40. Absolutely not. Not, you know, not just 45, but not even 40. I did not buy Origins when it first came out. I did not buy it until it was like on sale, I think for 19, which I thought, okay, that's fair. So I bought it for 19, and then I bought the physical version. I have original Origins on Switch, and then I have the physical version for PS4. So I have both of those versions now. So technically, I've spent collectively more than $40. Haha. But you know, it's fine, because at least I'm getting a physical like game and art book. So at least there's that. That's just what I tell myself to make me feel better. But this game does have so obviously Amy was added in the Origins Plus update, and she's pretty cool. She has her like hammer charge, which basically charges the same way as a drop dash, which is pretty cool because you can actually kind of like wave dash with it, which is fairly interesting. You can like cancel direction like on the fly with it. It has a limited amount of time that it can be used for, but you can basically like, yeah, you can like wave dash with it and kind of like go back and forth with it, which is pretty cool. And you can like instantly change directions and keep your momentum. So it's good if you're about to run into something that, you know, like a bed of spikes or something, something that the hammer won't hit.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah. Also, her sprite is smaller, so it makes her have a smaller hurt box. And also, when she's charging the hammer strike, it basically functions as an insta shield that you don't have to time, so you get an increased hitbox as well on your jumps. So it makes certain things like playing Sonic 2, like Death Egg, like trivial. Like fucking trivial.
Most of the she's basically a boss killer.
Yeah. Especially if you play Sonic 3 and Knuckles with her, because you can get access to Hyper Amy, which you can just throw a fuckload of like Pico hammers at people.
Unlimited hammer works.
She has a super sprite?
Yeah, she has a. Well, it's like
It's like Tails and Knuckles, where she just glows.
Yeah,
right?
you're just glowing.
Well, so here's the thing. Oh yeah, because like I was gonna go ahead and like talk about that like in
I never played
like.
through Amy's. I just could not. I just can't play through Sonic 1, 2, and 3 no more. I love them so much, but I'm so tired. I buy it out of support and have it if I really want the need, but the fact that fucking Switch also released a free Genesis fucking collection mix.
Yeah, the Switch has like 3 different ways to play Sonic 1 and 2.
Bro, that's why I said I'm so tired. I don't care.
Yeah.
I was gifted Origins so I can play with a friend. And then you know what? Then like 4 months later, Nintendo said we're releasing a Genesis expansion pack, and my first thought was, oh. I wasn't happy at all. I was like, damn, I have the ultimate collection. What would they have on there that's not on there? And then the first thing they said was the Mega Man Wily Wars, and I said, alright, you sons of bitches, y'all some motherfuckers. It just annoys me. That's why I don't hate Origins. Origins is not a bad like or it's not awful. It's really not. It used to be, but like it's touched. But I just
gotten a lot better. And you were gonna say something though?
No,
I was just more so like. Oh wait, what did you guys say? Never mind.
I was just saying I'm burnt from Retro Sonic.
Understandable. Seeing that this was the first time I got back to the classic games since not even was it high school? No, it was since middle school. Was the last time I played the classic games. Seeing that this was like going back, with the classic games, this was pretty fun to go back with it. I think I beat all of them with classic Amy pretty much. Got the Chaos Emeralds and everything. Got the Super Emeralds with her. Sad that it doesn't say like when you get the Super Emeralds with the Chaos Emeralds, it doesn't say like Super Amy or Hyper Amy. It's just Super Amy when you get the Super Emeralds, but you can still transform, and that's always been a weird thing. I'm like, Sega, if you guys are gonna be consistent about this stuff, be consistent about this, cause this is stuff that grinds my gears with y'all. Like, that was one of the complaints I had when it came to like Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and especially with Amy did that when you get the Chaos Emeralds in Sonic 2, that she doesn't get that prompt where she can go super and stuff. But overall, the game was very fun. Managed to beat Sonic 3 and Knuckles for the first. That was my first time beating Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
As Amy?
No, in general. I'd never beat.
No, I
never
mean,
beat.
the first time you played through it was as Amy?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, Sonic 3. No, not Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I played it with Sonic and Tails before, but that was the first time beating it. The first time beating it was with Amy, cause Sandopolis Act 2.
Yeah.
I was young, scared of ghosts, and I was like, nope, never again. I just couldn't do it.
Just get the torches, bro. They can't hurt you.
Yeah, I learned that.
Just go Super Sonic. You won't need the
I
lights
did.
anymore.
At the time, I didn't have all the Chaos Emeralds, and I wasn't really good at the game, so I got better over time after beating Sonic 1 and 2 a few times, and considering I've been watching playthroughs and everything now, I'm just like, this game is easier now. It's gotten to the point where I was literally pausing I literally was like, okay, I cannot have the ghost. I cannot have Sandopolis be dark in Act 2 at all. That was the worst stage, but the worst stage, actually, I suffered through the worst stage, but my greatest reward was my favorite stage in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and that was going through Lava Reef Zone. So,
oh yeah,
love the music, the stage and everything, just all the set pieces. Just felt like a climax before you get to like the final battles and stuff. So it was really fun playing it through with Amy. I did go through the debug mode and did beat it with Hypersonic, and then did the debug mode and beat Doomsday Zone with Hyper Amy. That was so hilarious. Her just running in that zone was very funny. But overall, I say for $40, it was worth it. But I wasn't gonna get it originally. But when they made a physical release, I was like, okay, I might as well get it. And with Amy, I might as well get it. Why not?
that's fair. I guess I'll go over like my thoughts on it. I did not buy the game day one, as I said. I waited for it because I just simply did not think it was worth the admission price.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like, Origins, like, after the updates and patches, it certainly has gotten a lot better, and I think, with sales and such, anything like in the $20 range is going to be pretty solid for something like this. I know some people are just kind of turned off by, the state in which the games were launched, which is a little unfortunate. I mean, I have come across some bugs in the game, bosses not loading in correctly, some weird interactions that shouldn't happen, like getting, like, for example, in Emerald Hill Zone in Sonic 2, there's like spikes, or there's like a spring that bounces you up to where you barely miss like some spikes. It's, meant for that, but in Origins, I've noticed that you just get hit by the spikes for whatever reason. That interaction is weird. It's just kind of stuff like that that kind of brings it down for me. Just where I would be like, I would probably recommend, if possible, play the decomps on PC if you have access to the Sonic 1 or Sonic 2 decomps. They're fairly easy to get access to, and they will be essentially the same. But I don't think Origins is a bad collection. I don't think it is. I think it definitely has gotten better. I think if you were to ask me when it first came out, is it a bad collection? I would say, yeah, avoid it. Price is not good. But, you know, seeing it on sale for around 20, I think that's totally fair. I think there is a lot of fun to be had. I mean, these are pretty much, in my opinion, the best games ever made. So it's kind of hard for me to hate on it too much. But there are certain things, right, where like I would choose not to play this version of Sonic 3. I would rather play Sonic 3 Air. It's just, you know, better for me because it keeps the music that I like, but also has a lot more options. There's a lot more tweaking going on with that to make it more, you know, exactly how I want it to be. But Origins is fine. Origins is fine. I think if you can find it on sale, it's definitely worth it. I think full price, it's definitely one to sort of reconsider. I've seen the physical copy with the art book already on sale. I think I saw it for as low as like 25, which I think that's very much worth it if you can find it. But I totally understand somebody like just being very turned off by the fact that it's just another Sonic compilation. But I do think, given how they were updated and everything, I do think it's good for what it is. It's good. I just, again, not too much to say because it is just a compilation. Just, you know, kind of do your own research. If some of the things, the quirks about the collection kind of are deal breakers for you, then yeah, kind of avoid it. But for me, right, like I'm okay with it for the most part, but there are certain things like Sonic 3 which I'll just choose not to play on that one.
Understandable.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I don't really have a score to give it because it's not really relevant. 10 out of 10. There you go. Has the best games ever. Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna go into Sonic Superstars.
Yeah, we should because Digi said he has to go soon. So we'll just like kind of.
I'm definitely interested in hearing your guys' thoughts because I do plan on getting the game once I come back from my trip.
Yeah. For
but
sure.
The discourse has me the most interested because
I really
you've got so many various takes. Like they're wild.
I really don't want to comment too much about like the weird like thoughts on that people have had on this game. I just sort of like disconnected from it because it's more annoying than anything for me.
Because the one positive from it is that like Sega's sticking to like one 2D, one 3D like within a year, which I think is a cool way to go about it.
Yeah. So just to sort of preface everything, so Sonic Superstars was released recently. It was released a little over a week ago, October 17th. It was the same week as Mario Wonder, so you had that double feature.
And Spider-Man.
And yeah, well, Spider-Man, yeah, but I mean, we're talking about platformers, so Mario and Sonic coming out the same week. Definitely a very jam-packed week of games. This is the first 2D Sonic game, standalone Sonic game since Mania. If you want to say 2.5D game, and you're not counting forces or runners, then it would be Sonic 4 Episode 2, which was the last 2.5D game. And also Boom, right? Boom, Fire and Ice.
Fire and Ice, yes.
Mainline 2.5D Sonic game, basically since Sonic 4. So it's been a little while for something like this. So what platforms did we play it on? I played it on PC and Switch.
Switch.
I'll be getting it for PS5.
Okay, Digi still with us? No? Okay. No, that's fine. So yeah, I guess since Michael, you haven't played it, and Digi isn't here, I was gonna start with him because he had to go soon. And if your mic is muted, you are muted. We cannot hear you. But yeah, so I'm just gonna comment on the controversy like real quick with this game and how it's very mixed for some unknown reason. I
Yeah.
really don't understand like why so many people are hating on this game. Like, I don't mean like so many people as in like, like there's a lot of people that I've met that are hating on this game, but there are a lot of people online that I've seen that have very colorful opinions on this game for whatever the case is. And generally from what I've seen, because I try to avoid that stuff now because it's just sort of more annoying than anything, is a lot of people either having a skill issue or they just simply do not vibe with whatever the game is going for. Some of it's understandable, some of it is just like, I mean, either get good or you're dumb sometimes. Like honestly, some the IGN review where they were saying like, oh, in Superstars it's really annoying when the game slows down and you have to fight to earn back your speed in order to get through the level faster. Duh. Like that's literally Sonic design. Like I guess they're just used to like boost button or something where you're given like max speed right away. So it's a little unfortunate to see like somebody be so stupid. But that's popular like journalism stuff. You'll see like more of like you'll see videos on YouTube that say like Sonic Superstars is okay, I guess. Sonic Superstars is super okay. And like videos like that, and they always, have the same fucking wheelhouse of like phrases where it's like, oh, Sonic has had a rough time recently in gaming, or Sonic has had some bad games, or this game is a step in the right direction, or it's not perfect, but all these fucking like same like lines over and over again you'll see. And then you'll see people on like Twitter and whatever just parrot the same shit that they've heard there. Basically like straw manning like people saying like certain thing like, oh, like Sonic fans are like coping like hella hard over this release and calling it good, like just like making up arguments and just being like hella critical for no reason. Like it's fine to have your opinion on it, right? But a lot of people like always latch on to whatever the general consensus is, and it's very easy for people to hate on Sonic. Very easy.
Yeah, it's like it's a pastime, and I mean, to be fair, there are certain instances where it's just so easy. But I get what you mean. Like that's just the same point again and again and again. Like the legendary, like Sonic had a rough time transitioning to 3D. It's a meme at this point.
Yeah,
at this point,
it's weird.
It's like with Sonic 06, like they'll never, like with that game, they'll always go ahead and like talk about that even still. Like Mario can have a bad game and it wouldn't have the same effect as Sonic does, and that's surprising.
I'll be fair, Mario has not had nearly as many high-profile disasters as Sonic.
Yeah, Mario doesn't have an 06 or a Forces yet, but
yeah, so it's not like that per se. Sonic has rightfully had some instances where people can hate on it or people are mixed on it or whatever the case is. That's totally fine. Frontiers is obviously one of those games I can easily see somebody hating the game because they just don't like the way it's structured.
You see those YouTube videos all the time, like Frontiers is actually the worst or blah blah blah.
Yeah, but it's like it's rough. Like you can't, like if you make, I guess I know that there's like a lot of bad, like there's some Sonic games that are bad. But it's like, if you make that one bad apple, or like two bad apples, they'll just go ahead and harp on that for a while. It'll be your legacy, literally.
I mean, yeah, Sonic is just like that. It's always going to be like the punching bag, sort of. But what really kind of irks me about Superstars is this game, in my opinion, is really good. Like, this is a really solid, good game. So I was playing it, and I'm like, how can people find stuff bad about this game? Like, what is bad about this game? Like, I genuinely don't know. I'm playing it and I'm having a great time. So it's not like Frontiers where I can sort of pick out moments that I can be like, okay, well that's kind of annoying, but you know, I kind of skate on by that because I'm used to Sonic. But Superstars I'm playing and I'm like, this is just a really fun 2D platformer, and I start, you know, seeing people talking about the boss fights and them being bad at it, or talking about the levels, how they get really hard because they're bad at them, or the music, which that's obviously very subjective, so I can't really call them wrong for not liking the songs, but I think the soundtrack is generally pretty fucking good. If a little inconsistent and a little all over the place, it's still very good. So it kind of surprises me, just how wild the opinions have been on it. Like I would reckon that most people that have talked shit on this game that you'll see like with hella engagement bait like posts or rage bait posts online, have probably not even played the game, probably just
More
like
likely
parroting
not.
something that they've seen. I've seen like some insane takes as, you know, as extreme as this is the worst Sonic game since Sonic Boom,
Oh my
which is
god,
That's
just
cap.
like,
that's
which,
insanity.
yeah,
That's
that's pure rage bait, pure engagement bait, getting people on their posts. Sonic fans will flock to it, idiots will flock to it. Like that's literally like you can just say like insane shit like that, have a Twitter Blue account, and you'll just make money.
Yeah, like there
Like
you
that's
go.
literally just how like people will make money, and it works. It legitimately will work. So that's why you can't really take any of that stuff you see seriously. Like these clickbait things, you just, for me, I cruise on by. I don't even pay attention to it. If you go into like the soundtrack on YouTube, if you go on like the playlist, every comment is like hyper criticizing every single thing about the song. And I'm not saying discussion like that isn't, you know, like, okay, I guess he left. I really wanted him to chime in on
Yeah,
this.
he seemed like he had a ton to say.
Yeah, I felt a little bad, but he wasn't talking, so I didn't know what to do
Yeah.
there. Um. Anyway, I'll like at him in the chat or something.
hmm
Uh. But anyway, I mean, just because it's just the two of us here. No, not you, Ronald. Digi just left.
Bro, you should get your ass back in here, Ronald. Just saying.
So I'll ask you, what you know, just like a brief like thoughts on the game. Just, you know, like if you had to sum it up in a few sentences, and then we'll kind of dive into it more.
Let's see. I agree. I don't really get the hate for the game. The soundtrack and everything. I think it was a very good Sonic game, very solid. I didn't really like Mania as much compared to this, so really did enjoy my time with it, especially with the, like I said, the multiple characters that didn't have to be unlocked. So I did enjoy like the little story that had. I think I was more so disappointed in the last story boss, and it's not because of the gameplay itself, it's just more so the presentation. But my expectations were a little too high when it came to the bosses and other stuff. But overall, very fun game. Kind of like if I compare it with Mario's, like the new Super Mario Bros. It's like Sonic has finally hit the new Super Mario Bros. Phase in terms of like the design and everything. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
for what it's worth, it's the first game without like Christian Whitehead or Headcanon and stuff there. So they're doing this with like one of the original creators
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Sonic. So it's a really fun game for what they did. They did it pretty well. It's very solid.
I do agree. So put just to give the context, game was developed by Arzest, which is headed by Naoto Oshima, of course, the original designer of Sonic the Hedgehog.
hmm
Um, but the of course Arzest were the people that developed Balan Wonderworld. So
Oh.
I think, yeah, there was a lot of hesitation coming into it, but considering how well they nailed this game, you can absolutely attribute that to misdirection by Naka on Balan Wonderworld. So I think this is pretty much a testament to show that that game was Naka's fault.
Their comeback story, or rather what should be, but people want to, you know, be weird about this one for some reason. And it's like, you don't see, you didn't see this much like discourse with Mania. Like, yeah, there were a few Mania haters, but like majority of everyone like loved it.
Well, what's really funny is that the narrative is changing on Mania. I've been getting recommended a lot of videos saying like, wait a minute, was Sonic Mania actually bad?
Oh Lord.
Or like Sonic Mania has an identity crisis, or the reason why I never go back to Sonic Mania. Like these video essays pop up, and it's just like, I don't know. I guess we're bored, right? Like we just gotta talk about stupid shit.
What the true turning point is gonna be if someone's like, Forces was actually good, or Masterpiece, blah blah blah.
No, there'll always be people, right?
Yeah,
there are people who call Black Knight good. Like there are people who... No.
I will say Black Knight is good. I did have fun with it, but I test that to like my experience with it rather than like going with the crowd, you know. I did enjoy. I like, you know, using swords and stuff. Those were my favorite weapons.
I just wish it wasn't a Wii game, among other things, but that's a huge like detriment in my opinion.
Understandable. For me, I didn't really have problems with the Wii controllers. I'm gonna go a little off topic. The Wii controls didn't really bother me as much. If there was a game that bothered me probably more, it would probably be Secret Rings. But with the nunchuck and the Wiimote, it felt really responsive. I had a ball with the game. Overall, yeah, it was very fun. And the music was pretty good. So that's why, what's it called? That's why Sonic and the Black Knight is up there as one of my favorites. But
I will concede in the interest of moving on with our, with our talk.
Yes. Yeah. But anyways, about Superstars and stuff. Go on ahead.
So I'll just kind of run through like some things about the game. I know Ronald had his questions, so let me just pull those up real quick. Well, he only had two, so. So this game, of course, the main thing behind it is the multiplayer. I mean, that's one of the main like headlining features of this game. So at all, were you able to play local multiplayer or no?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, so I have, so I'll be able to talk on this. I did 2 runs of this game in multiplayer, both on Switch. The game is fun in multiplayer, but it's about as chaotic as something like Mario would be, where you're kind of always constantly outrunning the other person. So it's basically a race to whoever gets the edge of the screen. The camera will lock onto them, and the other characters kind of like latch on to them, and you just press like the jump button, and then you'll basically spawn right next to them. If they're running, you'll run with them, so it's not like you'll just be stopped and then just get left behind again. If you're rolling with them, you'll roll with them. So it's pretty smart about that. There's also certain things that are better with multiplayer, such as, or at least like certain level design that does work with multiplayer, right? There's these like elevators in levels where the more players you have, you'll get access to more like items and such, which is pretty cool. There's also like little like mini games where you'll come across like sections where you have like a little handle that everyone can grab onto, and there's a little like mini game you have to play where you just mash the button, and whoever mashes the most gets the most rings. And then you'll have sections like the Chaos Emerald stages, where depending on the amount of players you have, it'll change it'll change the character that's in control during the Chaos Emerald stages. So in 2-player, which is what I was doing, it gives you 3 turns. So you'll do 3 swings in the Chaos Emerald stages, and they'll switch to the other player. So you kind of have to work together and formulate like a plan. And I can imagine in 4-player probably gets more chaotic, trying to get the emerald. So that's really cool. I like seeing that. in the bonus stages, which is the Sonic 1 checkpoint bonus stages, all 4 players play at the same time, which is
Oh my god.
It's pretty fun. Pretty good.
That sounds great.
Yeah, so as long as you don't take it too seriously, it's pretty fun. Like, it's a pretty fun experience. I would say, like, I had a pretty fun time, and I think, if I ever go down the Sencal or you guys come up, I think we have to do a Superstars.
Oh, absolutely.
4-player run. Like,
I'd absolutely love that.
It's really fun. But yeah, moving on with, like, story and such, so this game does introduce a new character. First character created by Naoto Oshima, ever since, like, back in, like, the Genesis days, I think. So you have Trip, which is the new girl. She is actually, I would say, pretty important to the plot, quote unquote, of this game. Very minimal plot. So where this game takes place is called the North Star Islands. So similar to, like, I guess the Starfall Islands of, like, Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah.
Basically, Eggman hires Fang for his plot, and Fang is partnered up with Trip. Trip's just kind of going along with it, but she's kind of klutzy and ditzy and always, like, messes things up. And eventually, as you progress through the game, she gets pissed off at Fang and just she gets all the Chaos Emeralds that you have at the time, and then, like, beats the fuck out of him. And then she joins your party, and essentially it's just beat Eggman. That's basically it. Fang is relegated. Dealing with Fang is relegated to Trips' story, which is unlocked after you finish the main story.
Oh.
So you have basically an and Knuckles mode of it, where you Trips' story is essentially like the hard mode, kind of what considered Knuckles' run in Sonic 3 was. So you'll have, like, some stages that are totally different, like with Knuckles, and then you'll have some things that are mostly the same. You'll get access to different parts of levels that kind of adhere to Trips' abilities more. And then, of course, she has her own final boss against Fang. In those levels, though, they have, like, the Egg Robo, I think, so it's very similar to how Knuckles' run was. And then after beating both of those, you unlock the last story. So overall, story is pretty, like, light. I don't think there's really much to comment on with it at all, if you have anything to say about the story.
No, story was pretty cool. There was a cute interaction with Amy's act.
Yeah.
Where you do have to help Trip, and she's just, encouraging her, like, telling her everything's gonna be fine. Then you have to low-key run through the rest of the stage with Amy piggyback riding, with Trip piggyback riding on Amy.
Yeah.
And after that, she gets an apple to Trip, and she's just like,
yeah, it's really cute.
It's really adorable.
Yeah, Trip is meant to be, like, a shy character. Once you unlock her, on the title screen, she'll, like, show up, and then she'll pop out like everybody else, but then she'll get, like, embarrassed and, like, hide behind the other characters. So it's actually really cute.
Like, when the characters acknowledge her, or, like, when Amy introduces her to her friends and everything, Sonic tells Knuckles she's, like, so embarrassed to put the helmet back on. It's also part of her idle animation too, where she just stares at you and then she'll put her helmet back on. It's like, oh, she's a treasure. She's a treasure, actually. Like, besides her and Cream are, like, her and Cream are actually one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, a lot of people really like Trip. I think they did a great job. She's, I think her name is Trip the Sun Gazer?
Sun Gazer, that's a lizard.
Yeah, Sun Gazer lizard. Yeah, so she's a lizard. And she's very cool. We'll talk more about the gameplay with her later. But it's kind of like segues into, like, like the animations and stuff, into, like, the graphics of the game. This game looks really good. Like, I was a little bit hesitant, right? Because you're coming off of, like, the beautiful sprite work of Mania. And I still think overall I prefer the way Mania looks. but this game really shines like greatly, especially on PC when I played it on. I think it still looks very good on Switch. I did play it portably and docked on Switch. It runs at 60 on both both platforms. It runs 60 on everything, and it looks very good on Switch. There's lots of really like nice attention to detail for animations. Like there's sections of the game where Sonic is sort of like floating around like in zero gravity, and he's kind of just like he's doing this like I don't know, like a confused face the whole time. He's like, oh god, what's going on? And it looks really funny. Or there's other parts of like stages where you're kind of going through them, and then you'll see like the other characters in the background. Like you'll be running, and then you'll see like Tails like running in like another layer of like the stage, and he's like or beating up enemies or something, or like Knuckles flying around. You'll just see them like playing with you, even if you're not playing multiplayer. You'll see them like in the background like doing stuff, so it shows that hey, like we're all together like helping each other out. That was one of my favorite attention to detail, just having like the other characters in the background. It just kind of adds a lot to like the like the teamwork element of the game. Stage themes are also pretty good, pretty varied as well. Of course, the not Green Hill. We have a stage that's not Green Hill as the first level. Now, it looks very similar, but it's not Green Hill. Technically, it's not. So, hey, there you go. Took, like, fucking forever, but there you go. Like, when was the last time it wasn't Green Hill? Even
since
Forces even had.
It was Green Hill, but with sand. That's what Forces
Well,
had.
if we're gonna go with, like,
Forces was Green
if we're
Hill.
going with 2D Sonic,
Or in general,
not
I mean,
since
Sylvania
Sonic
Castle?
Advance 3?
does Windy Hill count as Green Hill?
Yeah, well, it's like a hill zone.
But it's
I
in the
guess,
sky.
Whatever. I mean, it's more or less sure. Sonic 4 Episode 2 would, I guess, be the last one. Because
Because, like... Oh, yeah,
no.
Sonic 4 Episode 2. My bad.
Yeah, Sylvania Castle, not Episode 1. That was Splash Hill. So, yeah, I guess technically that, but yeah, Advance 3, right? Route 99. So, or Shadow the Hedgehog, Westopolis, Wave Ocean, right? Is not. Yeah, whatever. Sonic Unleashed, right?
Oh,
so there has been games that aren't Green Hill, but there's been quite a few where Green Hill or Green Hill-like stage is the first one. So it's at least nice to see that they're at least attempting to branch out from that, which is one of my main complaints from Mania, where there should have been more original stages. This game is all original stages, which is great to see. There's obviously some homages and callbacks to earlier stages, but generally they're all, new level themes. I would say my favorite ones were, I would say Speed Jungle was very cool, gave me like Green Forest vibes, and also, Leaf Forest from Advance 2, the first stage there. So it gave me some cool vibes there. Also that one from Rush, there was like a jungle stage in Rush 1, I think.
Oh, I know what you're
I
talking
forgot
about.
the name of it.
Yeah, I don't remember the name. If Star was here, they would know. But yeah, so that Speed Jungle is cool. I really like Lagoon City. That was a fun stage. Press Factory, I actually really liked. I thought that was a super fun stage with the gimmicks in it that were akin to Wacky Workbench. So kind of gave me a little bit of like PTSD, but I managed to pull through. I actually really like that stage. And then Sand Sanctuary, not just for the music, but the music really carries that fucking stage. Yeah, I mean, there's ones that obviously are gonna like carry over, like fucking like the final zone is like Death Egg Zone, basically. It's like Egg Fortress Zone. It's like, the space base zone. Like, yeah, we've had that shit before in most games. At least most 2D games. So that's not new, but it has its own take on it that I think will it gives kind of a surprise, especially for Act 2. If you don't know what's coming in Act 2, you will be shocked. Because I know I was.
Right.
And what level themes did you like, or what kind of stuck out to you?
Oh shoot, I don't know, I like all of them now that I think about it. Like there are some So I would say my favorite definitely Speed Jungle. Are we talking about themes or like are we talking about like
like level themes, not like the theme song, like the
Oh,
like
okay.
the stage design and like the visuals
Oh,
of it, graphics and
def-
stuff.
definitely Speed Jungle. Just love the lush green and everything. Speed Jungle also had the vines and um, just felt good. Just felt good overall. Let's see that Cybertrack. I do like the digital
Cyberstation.
Cyberstation. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Cyberstation. I'm just gonna go over all of them. I just like all of them. I'm sorry.
No,
But,
no, they're good.
they're all good. Just feels really good not to be in Green Hill and just like having new stages overall, and even stages that I didn't really like what was it, Frozen Base, and even the Golden Capital. I can respect the attempts and how they tried and stuff. So overall, I have a very good liking to all the stages. For like Sky Sanctuary and Sand Sanctuary.
Sand Sanctuary or Sky Temple.
Oh, Sky Temple.
Dude, Sky Temple. It's basically like it's basically like if they took Angel Island Zone from Sonic Advance 1 and just like put it in HD, and there you go. And of course the Windy Hill callback.
That's
Windy Hill. Wait, what, the Adventure
it was
1?
It was Windy Hill, I believe, right? In Sonic Adventure 1.
Wait, then what was the stage in Lost World called?
What's it called, Windy Hill? Hold on, let me see.
Dude, am I tripping? Are they both called the same thing?
They just had the same fucking name.
Windy Valley in Adventure 1. Windy Valley.
Oh,
God,
yeah.
I'm so fucked up, man.
And that's okay, we haven't played those games in a while. But yeah, overall, those are fun stages. Yeah. I don't think... I can see people not liking some stages, but overall, they're just perfect.
Yeah, like the graphical fidelity of this game, the animations all look really good. Like this game is very well polished. This is not a game I feel embarrassed to show to people. Frontiers is a game I feel a little embarrassed to show to people sometimes with its graphics. This is a game that looks good. Like this is a really good looking game. Played very good on PC. There were some bugs when the game first came out, but I do think they patched them out since then. They put out a patch within the first couple days. There was that thing on PC where the Epic Game login kept coming up, but they patched that out within a couple days. So it was very bizarre. But apparently to play crossplay, because it's crossplay on Epic Games and Steam, you need to log into your Epic Games account. That's just to play the battle mode, which I will admit I have not played because I have no interest in it. Maybe I'll get around to it at some point, but I honestly do not give a shit. So we'll see with that. But in terms of performance, the game does run pretty well on PC. No issues, honestly. No issues at all. I played it on Steam Deck as well. No issues on Steam Deck. Works very good on that. Switch is where the problems come up. Switch is absolutely where problems come up. I played the Switch version pretty much only in multiplayer, so I'll say that. The game drops frames hella with the avatar when you're using the avatar power. And also
really?
If it didn't for you, then it must be a multiplayer thing. Because it absolutely dropped hella frames in multiplayer when you did the avatar. And also there were various spots within the levels where it did drop frames as well. I'm trying to recall a specific section. I think it was Pinball Carnival Act 2 with when you're in sections with all the fucking effects going on and all that. I think it did drop frames. Or Golden Capital Act 2, where there's a lot of those sections, or especially Golden Capital Act 1 with the piggy bank boss. If you have a lot of rings at the end when you defeat it, it'll fucking drop that into single digits.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. That was that was wicked. I always considered that one like very funny, but I
Yeah,
can see
like,
why
cause
people.
yeah, it's not like a bad one because you're finished with the boss, but it's like, god damn, there's so many rings that fucking drop the frame to like slideshow. So yeah, that sucked. But I think the biggest offender was the final boss. Now I did not play through the trip story in multiplayer, probably to save my sanity. We just did the regular one. The final boss has lag, like in multiplayer. It has like parts where it like is jerky and like jumps will like pause, like the game just like pauses when he does attacks, like split-second pauses. It's like a blink pause. Like it'll just like do this really like quick like jerk, or like not so much slowdown, but like if you'll activate like like avatar during the final boss, it'll like fuck up, especially like the last attack he does. Or if you do like, funny enough, if you do the time break emerald, it will also chop the frame, so you get double slowdown.
Oh, that
Yeah,
would suck. That would
yeah.
really
So
suck.
that was how it was in multiplayer. I don't know if it was like that in single player because I did not play it single player on Switch.
I don't think it was that bad on Switch. I played both of them, and I played both Eggman and Trip Story final bosses, and to be honest, I didn't experience that. But then again, you guys also gotta take into account how if I told you guys like frames and stuff don't really bother me as long as it's not a fighting game. So
Frame drops don't bother me too much either. I mean, I grew up in the PS3 era. That's like the worst fucking performing game
see,
era
I
ever.
didn't play PS3 games. I was playing on the Wii most of the time, but I could see that being rough. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I more so mean like I don't care so much about that as long as it's not too egregious. It's just the jerkiness in the boss fight, like when
Right.
he would do like the lasers, like in a game would like jerk and like pause, like split-second like pauses and stuff. That's not cool because that would like fuck me
That's
up.
annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah, that gets annoying.
So that's where like it's a little too far. So I think if I were to recommend a version to somebody, I would not recommend the Switch version, just purely on stuff like that alone. Especially if you're gonna play the game in multiplayer, would absolutely not recommend it. But I do think, you know, I'm sure they'll probably iron out the flaws with some patches. But just as currently as it stands, with the knowledge I have, I'd probably recommend any other version. I'm sure even base PS4 will run the game fine, even in multiplayer. So yeah, but I'll probably just stick to the PC version. It runs totally fine on my PC and on deck, so pretty good there. I do know it has de novo, which I mean that's just all Sonic games on PC. So besides Mania does not have de novo anymore. And what's funny is when it got removed, it literally like made the game go from like 300 megabytes to like less than 100, which is like ridiculous. It's just how much their fucking like de novo was in it. But anyway, so yeah, graphics very, very good. Nice attention to detail. Another thing in terms of the graphics, the Lego skins that you can get in the game actually look really good and have their own specific like animations. Like the Lego Sonic skin has his own like ball form that's like a Lego piece. They're actually like really good skins. Like I'm not saying I'll use them because I won't, but they look like they put a lot of effort into making them look good. So
I heard there was an issue with that though. Like one of them is a pre-order only.
That is
the Lego Eggman is a
the Lego
pre-order.
Eggman.
Oh,
Pre-order.
Yeah, and then there was the comic skins that were exclusive to certain retailers. Like in Japan, I think it was exclusive to Amazon.
It was Amazon for everything, but you have to go through Kroger
Kroger, yeah.
Yeah, Kroger.
For the comic skins here, which the comic skins have a DLC page like up on the store, like on the Steam store, and I assume on like every other storefront. So I'm gonna assume that they're gonna release them, like, you know, you can buy them later if you want them. So that's fine. I'm sure that they will release them. I haven't seen them in action though. They also have a Lego pack that's out right now that came out the day the game came out. That has like Lego Knuckles and Amy,
Do you mean
and
Knuckles and
Tails.
Tails?
Yeah,
Yep.
so it has three of them. I don't think there's a Lego Trip.
And then there's DLC for the original concept art for Sonic the Rabbit.
Oh yeah, the deluxe version had like Feels the Rabbit, and I I don't know what else they had with that. I think it also had the Lego stuff with it if you wanted to get all of that stuff together. I I don't really care. I just got the base version of the game. I don't care
Yeah.
about the deluxe content. The game already has value issues, so paying more money didn't sound super appealing. Uh, another pre-order bonus though is the for a physical version is if you got like a little acrylic like plastic acrylic stand.
Oh,
It was
okay.
so it was pretty cool. Definitely a decent pre-order bonus. Um, well, we'll kind of transition from graphics into like the sound and like music and such because that's pretty important here. Um,
Right.
yeah, so this is where there's a lot of point of contention. So I'll just kind of go over like the audio. The audio mixing in this game is ass. There
Oh.
it Yeah, you like it's not a major issue because you can just go into the sound settings and turn the sound effects down, which I would absolutely recommend. I found a good sweet spot to be putting them at level 3 because I think they're defaulting at 5 and it's way too loud.
Oh, okay.
It like blows your ears out for certain things. Even at 3 it can still like get kind of like peaking in a lot of situations. So um there's that. Uh, I kind of like I put the music higher and then I put the sound effects lower, and it actually helped a lot with that. But yeah, default is unfortunately kind of ass. Um, but yeah, this is where we kind of get into like the music of the game, which some people really like and some people really feel indifferent on or don't like.
I
So
keep hearing the Sonic 4 comparisons.
Yeah, so this game, as I said before, I think before the stream even started, this game is basically like the Avengers of Sonic composers. Otani's not here, but you do have T. Lopes, who of course worked on Mania.
Mhm.
You have Jun Senoe, who of course is the guitarist on Crush 40, but also worked on um, several Sonic soundtracks and songs, most notably for classic games, Sonic 4,
Mhm.
which this game will be compared a lot to because there's a lot of very similar Sonic 4 sounding songs. And then another one is Rintaro Soma, who did, I believe, the Advance games. I believe
Mm-hmm.
so. Um, and he composed a few tracks here. So T. Lopes did tracks such as Bridge Island, which I believe was composed by Senoe, but arranged by T. Lopes. To my understanding, that's how it was. T. Lopes also did the special stages. He did Speed Jungle. He did Lagoon City Act 2, and he did Sand Sanctuary. And all of those songs are absolute fucking bangers. All those songs are fucking bangers, like hardcore.
Let's go.
Um, T. Lopes really outdid himself. This stuff is like basically the best, basically just as good as the best stuff in Mania, which is the best stuff in Mania was all of the original stuff. Um, so T. Lopes really outdid himself. Soma did Pinball Carnival Act 1 and 2, which are amazing songs as well. And he also did Lagoon City Act 1. So that's just some examples. That's not all he did. Uh, so those are just some of the standouts that I wrote down that he did that are very good. And then Senoe is a little bit easier to tell when he did something. So he did like Press Factory, he did Cyber Station, he did Sky Temple, Golden Capital, Frozen Base. So he actually did a pretty fair majority of the songs in this game. So much
Mm-hmm.
that he's pretty much the main composer. I would say it's
Mm.
like him, T. Lopes, and then like there's a couple other people that did some songs as well. Um, so Senoway definitely did, I think, the most songs because he arranged like all of the like most of the battle mode songs were by him. I think actually all of them, the menu themes, a lot of this stuff was by him. So that's where people are a little bit more critical of this because there are some songs in this game that are definitely very repetitive and very uh, I would say like middling is how I would describe them. Not all of Senoway's stuff is bad though. I'll say that, and I will say just to preface this because I think we need to know where I stand on Sonic 4. This is important because this game gets real compared a lot to Sonic 4 with the music. This game does not sound like Sonic 4 Episode 1. It sounds like Sonic 4 Episode 2. A lot of these songs sound basically like as if they were made for Sonic 4 Episode 2. Like some Sonic 4 Episode 2 tracks that I like are like Sylvania Castle Zone is pretty good. Sylvania Castle Act 1 and 3 are pretty good. And then Sky Fortress Act 2, very good. I like those songs. But Sonic 4 Episode 2 also had a bunch of ass songs. Like Oil Desert, I believe. Like Act 2 is terrible. Like just not good. And then you have the boss theme, which is not good as well. Very repetitive. That's I think the issue that people have with Senoway's tracks. Michael, I don't know if you've like listened to the soundtrack. I don't know if you've
I've listened to
it.
a few pieces, not the whole thing. Specifically Speed Jungle because I saw people talk about that one the most. And for good reason. I enjoyed that track, but I'm kind of saving it to like experience once I actually play the game.
For sure. Yeah, I mean like for me, okay, the T-Lope stuff all amazing.
Yeah.
The Soma stuff all amazing. The Senoway tracks range. I think they go from middling to whatever, all the way to pretty good. Pretty good. I would say very catchy. Some of the stuff sounds very much like Genesis tracks. Like Press Factory, I think going to be the most egregious for some people because you go from Sand Sanctuary, which has T-Lopes all over it, so something that sounds like it was ripped straight from like Shantae, to like grindy Genesis twang, and that's I think the big issue that people have with Superstar's soundtrack is it's kind of all over the place.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's definitely like it's definitely weird. I'll say that it's weird how it kind of bounces from musical styles all the time. I wouldn't mind. It kind of tries to separate it like by zone. So like this zone was by this guy, or this composer, and then this zone was by another guy. But sometimes like within the zones they'll change composers. Like I think T-Lopes did Speed Jungle Act 1, but he did not do Speed Jungle the Sonic solo act. And I don't think he did Act 2 either. So that's where it gets weird, right? And then Lagoon City, Act 1 was by Soma, and then T-Lopes did Act 2. So that's kind of weird, right? Like it's bouncing between styles more. I think there's the cohesion is a little all over the place. So I will admit that is it can be a little jarring for some people, especially if you just don't like the way the Genesis twang sounds. For me, I'm good with it because the songs are fun enough. I think they're catchy. They're catchy like Genesis songs. They can be a little bit repetitive. I mean, that's Senoway's kind of like thing.
Yeah.
But he will put out something like Sky Temple, which Sky Temple song is really fucking good, and that was by Senoway. So he'll have like these like bangers, but then he'll have stuff that, in my opinion, is kind of boring. Like Golden Capital's songs are all kind of boring to me. So it's kind of, it ranges, right? But I would say the soundtrack definitely leans mostly on very good. There's no way you can tell me like some of the weak like Senoway tracks outweigh the amazing T-Lopes tracks or the amazing Soma tracks.
Yeah.
Like those tracks are so fucking good to the point where like, yeah, the Senoway tracks can be a bit weak at times, or a little. I don't even think weak. Like, I don't think any of the music in this game is overly bad. Just some of it is just whatever. Most of it is from Senoway, but I don't think it drags it down enough to the point where I would call it like a bad thing. I do think the boss music though has a lot to be desired. I think the boss
the early one.
Yeah, like the mini boss theme, very repetitive. Reminds me, yeah, a lot of Sonic 4. A lot of those tracks remind me like something ripped straight out of Sonic 4 Episode 2. Which, you know, for some people they don't like. For me, I'm more okay with it. I don't think it's that bad. There's some tracks, yeah, that I think are arranged pretty good. That sound very good, like Sky Temple, that has that kind of Genesis twang to it. But then there's other ones that just kind of feel like there should be more going on with the track, and it's a little too repetitive, like Golden Capital, Knuckles Act. I think that one is just a little too repetitive for my taste. So,
right.
Yeah, there are some tracks that are very repetitive, some that aren't that great, but I definitely think the highs of this soundtrack are among some of the best in the series, I feel. Like, genuinely about that. Like, Bridge Island Act 2, amazing. I've heard people call that, like, their favorite Sonic song ever.
Damn.
Like, it's just straight up, like, there are some absolute bangers in the soundtrack. So, you can say the soundtrack is mixed. I would say it's definitely very good with some more, just kind of whatever points.
Desired.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about it, Em. Like, how do you feel about the soundtrack?
I'm pretty much more, like I said, I'm more forgiving when it comes to video games than most people. So, I would say the music was really good. There was like some songs that should have been like, there was more. There should have been more to be desired. But overall, OST was pretty strong. I did like the Sonoe songs as well as the T-Los and everything. Just everything. It felt like more of a best of, or like a, you know, everybody, you know, like a superstar's worth of like composers making their own music for this and everything. What can I say? I didn't really like the early boss music, but I did love the late boss music, which is like, I think, the later zones. And it reminded me a little bit of Toho. I think the bosses for Frozen Base Act 2 and the later bosses just reminded me of Toho's bosses, at least the beginning, because like I was like, oh wait, this sounds like a Toho song for a second. You know, you would think, you know how Zen's composing and stuff is. But overall, its music is really good. It's very solid. I wouldn't say it's. I mean, I can listen to those songs in my runs, so they're really good in my opinion. I think the ones that stand out were pretty much, yeah, definitely the T-Lopes ones. Sand Sanctuary was definitely the best he did for any desert stage or any of the desert stages. So yeah.
What's your favorite song in the game?
Man, that's a tough one. Dang, it depends on my mood. Cause like I've listened to Speed Jungle on track almost the whole time, but I'm starting to love Press Factory Act 1s, and Lagoon City just overall hits really hard. They're all amazing soundtracks. It just depends on the mood, really. That's what makes Sonic music really good. Depends on the mood. When you get comfortable with songs and stuff, you'll start to be like, okay, I have my favorites, but overall right now they're just all good.
Yo, I'm gonna take that opportunity to interject real quick, cause you were saying Bridge Island Act 2, right, Riley?
Bridge Island Act 2, like, people were calling it like one of their favorite Sonic songs ever.
Yeah, okay, so I had only heard like the first 10 seconds of the song because of the freaking trailer like plastered all over YouTube. This is my first time hearing like the whole song. Good lord, now I know what people mean.
Yeah.
This is such an uplifting song. Good lord, I love this.
You gonna join us, Ronald?
Well, I have nothing to talk about with this game. I've just been listening. Again, the main thing I had, in fact, I'm glad you guys talked fully about the music, because that was the main quote-unquote controversy that I kept seeing. Everyone was ragging on Jun for, like, his stuff. But, and again, like, the reason I phrased it as some things being quote-unquote painfully 8-bit is because, like Riley said, I guess it kind of depends on how much you vibe with, like, the Genesis twang. In some cases, like, it doesn't set off my nostalgia anymore, like that sort of like vibe. But also, like he said, there's some certified bangers. Like,
Yeah.
good lord, the Sky Temple. Yeah, in fact, I'm playing that out right now. I've listened to the
Sky
song
Temple?
so
That's
much.
really good.
Hey, your favorite track's a Senoi track.
This is why when I first heard the song, I was genuinely confused. Like, why are people ragging on him so much?
Well,
Gosh, this is so
yeah.
good.
There's just the boss music, like the Fang theme that interrupts your fucking like good music in the Speed Jungle Sonic act like constantly.
Oh, wait, is it like
Like,
Unleashed all over again, where songs get interrupted?
Kinda. Yeah, M knows what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Yeah,
dear.
it's like it's not. It's pretty annoying. But
Pretty
yeah, I
boring.
think yeah,
That's
it's a
pretty
boring theme. The boss music unfortunately is not that great. I think the final boss, as in like not the true final boss, the regular final boss, that one's okay. At least some parts of it.
Oh, okay.
But generally, it's a little underwhelming. You have nothing as good as like Doomsday Zone or like Egg Reverie or
Oh.
something, where like you have some like absolute fucking like crazy ass
Can I
like
make a
hype.
controversial? Oh, go ahead. Finish.
Well, no, what were you gonna say?
I was like, can I make a I didn't really like Doomsday Zone's music as well. Like, I guess I didn't like the
Sounds hype.
original take on it. I like the... Because,
like
like,
the
my
remix
first time
one?
hearing that was when Super Mario Bros. Z with Mecha Sonic and stuff, so... Just gonna say, that was my favorite arranged version, but the original just left me, like, disappointed. But, anyways, continue.
No, I think I actually want to kick your ass now.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Doomsday Zone is the best final boss I've ever played. And
Oh.
like I say this purely from nostalgia. Like that fight is
Understandable.
so fucking epic when you put it in the context of the series up to that point and how fucking insane that like is for a Genesis game to do.
You're not wrong.
Like it's such a great boss fight. But
Oh, the boss fight, no. That's very fun. That's a very fun
well, the
boss.
music too. I
Yeah,
love the
well,
music. The
we-
music
we
is
s-
like crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
we
it makes
established
you, like,
this
anxious.
with. Go ahead. Sorry.
Hmm?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I finished what I was saying.
Oh, well, because I was gonna say we established this with even with Frontiers, is that's a big part of the hype and tone of Sonic bosses across the ages. The music is a big part of it.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think of a time like where a Sonic boss stood out for something besides the music.
If I could say one boss in particular, nah, I probably can't think of any bosses without the music, cause
Every Sonic boss that's like revered
Really
for being
good.
like hype.
You mean that
Yeah.
stood
It's
out
music.
like
Without the
beyond
music?
just the music? Like if you were to take the music away, or
Yeah.
if you were to take the music away, I don't even think Metal Overlord would be up there as my favorite Sonic boss fight. Shoot, that beats Perfect Chaos.
Metal
I'm a
Overlord.
Sonic
music-
Advance 1
Sonic's a big
shill.
part of it.
I will shield Sonic Adventure 1 to the end of time along with Advance 3. And I'm saying Metal Overlord is my favorite Supersonic boss.
yeah, like well, I mean the music is like a major part of establishing
Yeah.
the tone of the boss and everything. So
Exactly.
having kind of like it's not just having like a triumphant track, it's also kind of having like a track that makes you feel like, you know, like this is this is the end, or this is, you know, something that like is gonna prove to be like a surmountable challenge. And in Doomsday Zone's case, that song is like, you know, it's crazy, kind of like it's all over the place, and it gets you feeling like, you know, like you gotta go now.
Yeah,
that's
play
why I like
that
it so
song.
much.
Hold on.
Okay, I can kind of see. I can understand that now.
No, I 100%
You just gotta put it like
agree with
you
Riley.
gotta put it together. Like having them apart, you know, is different. Like when I listen to Doomsday Zone by itself, I'm not just like listening to Doomsday Zone. I'm thinking of myself playing the boss, being like, you know, as a kid on fucking like Mega Collection, like fucking like going insane trying to like beat it and figure out that you're not supposed to use the
And
dash
that's
button most of the time.
And that's the intensity of the boss itself.
Yeah.
Again, in the context of like.
Yeah.
that era.
But anyway, this actually like pivots for Superstars. The final boss music in Superstars, yeah, unfortunately wasn't too great. None of the boss music was too great, but the main stage themes, in my opinion, were pretty either solid to incredibly good. Some of the best in the series. So, yeah. Anything else to say on music?
Nothing else. Like again, I still don't get the hate for it or the divisive or how divisive it is. I think when I listened to before I came back or before I listened to Superstars music, I actually did. I didn't go through episode 2's music. I did go through episode 1's music. You know, Genesis's episode 1 music for the for the zones and stages, and I only had like at least 1 or 2 songs that I was like, yeah, these feel like good songs, and all of the rest were just like, But overall for this one, where you know all the other songs and everything that Genesis has done, all good. They're all a step up from what he did in in Sonic 4 in general. So.
Yeah, I think Sonic 4 gets a lot of like, just a lot of hate, and I completely understand like why. But I will say, in episode 2 does have some legit good songs. Episode 1, I think what really holds the music back in that game are the instruments chosen, or like, you know, like the weird like synth that they used for it, to mimic like Genesis type feel. The melodies are good. That's my thing. Like the melodies are good. Like I can recall to you like how Lost Labyrinth Zone sounds. Like I played that game a lot, so I do remember that. But the melodies were very catchy. But unfortunately, the songs with the instruments that they have are not that great. So I do feel that Senoway mostly can get limited by, I think, the instruments that he chooses. Or he chooses to like adhere to like the Genesis style, but I think it's mostly the songs can just get a little repetitive, and I think that's really it, right? It kind of feels like he's adhering too much to like Genesis styles, standards, where the songs kind of loop after like 40-50 seconds. He kind of sticks to that. It just feels like other songs, even if they loop around the same time, they don't feel as repetitive because, you know, just kind of repeats the same like chorus a lot. But I don't know, I'm getting kind of like super nitpicky about it. I don't really feel like super strongly about it in that regard. I find it to be fine enough. Like in the context of the game, like I'm not like, oh fuck this song. Like I'm just like oh yeah, you know, this is fine. And then like when the banger comes on, I'm fucking jamming. So
Right.
yeah. So anyway, we can finally move on to gameplay. Like, god damn, right? But hey, this is a major Sonic game, okay? This is, you know, we're taking our time here. So the game has 5 playable characters. So you have the main 4 characters, Sonic, Amy, Tails, Knuckles, and then you also have Trip, which is unlocked after finishing the game. Every character has their own special abilities, as you know. Sonic, of course, still has the drop dash. Tails can fly, of course, and he can carry anybody on your team too, so he can carry anybody. Knuckles can glide and climb, and Amy has a double jump, and she also has the hammer smash that she has from Origins Plus. But this one you can do forever. There is no limit on it. So
there's a limit. There is
a limit?
Yeah, there is a limit. It's just long. It's just very long. So.
Okay, that interesting. Yeah, because I did it for a long time. I'm like, damn, you can keep going with this shit. So I just assumed it went on forever.
Yeah, because there's a Sonic tuber or a guy who plays it called Games Cage, if I remember correctly. I don't remember. He did he tested out most of the myths that he's heard around the internet for Sonic Superstars. And from my experience and from watching it's like, oh, it doesn't last forever, but it's very long. So.
Okay, well that's good.
Also, the hammer attack does not increase your speed like the drop dash does or maintain it. So, yeah. That's another thing I've learned. So.
That's good to know. And then Trip, of course, has a double jump, and then she also has the ability to stick onto walls and basically able to climb walls similar to Knuckles. So you can't she sticks onto a wall and rolls on it, but you can't go up on a side wall and then go on the ceiling. She'll just fall off. So it's similar to Knuckles' glide essentially. So she's pretty cool. She's actually very fun, which is good to see. And she also has the same spin dash as Vector does in Knuckles Chaotix, where it's that she's kind of skinny and has the scales, and it kind of shows that, where there's a hole in the middle, the donut.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Every character besides Trip, well, Trip gets her own solo story mode, but every character gets their own solo act. So you have there's a solo Sonic act, solo Tails, solo Knuckles, solo Amy act. And if you're playing if you're playing by yourself, you have to play as those characters. Those stages are designed specifically for them. And then in multiplayer, this is where it gets a little bit sucky. It's only for first player. So first player, even if I'm playing multiplayer and somebody else is playing as Amy, when you come across the Amy act, you have to the first player switches to Amy for that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's weird. That's very unfortunate.
So it kind of sucks because it would be cool to have everybody have their own individual act that they have to play. But yeah, I mean, the multiplayer, as we've already stated, is pretty fun, as long as you don't take it super seriously. There will be times where you're guys, we have to use the fucking Vision Chaos power, and then, somebody uses it, and then they immediately get hit, and it goes away, and then you don't have it anymore. It's oh, great. Or you get off screen, and then you can't even get it.
Yeah.
But there is something that, I think you have to be fucking godlike to do. I tested this. Frozen Base Act 1, the boss there, doing it as Knuckles is nearly impossible.
It is.
You like to... Did you do it?
I didn't do it, but...
Okay, because you like these impossible boss challenges. Try to beat Frozen Base Act 1 as Knuckles. I just want to see, what you do, because that boss is one of those, Advanced 2, constantly running bosses. Where you have to take out that, pterodactyl, right, that throws that shit at you.
Dude, if I can get lucky, I'll probably just go Super Knuckles and just be over with it.
Okay, no, that's cheating, right?
I'm not talking about Super Knuckles. Okay, so if we can't use Super Knuckles, then
no Super Knuckles.
Okay, no Super Knuckles, got it.
No Super Knuckles. I did not use the Chaos powers because I was just being head ass, but probably the Chaos powers would work. If you can't hit something, just use the Avatar. But
I use Bullet, Avatar. I think I can use Slow, so I think I can do it. But let's give it a go.
If you use the Chaos powers, you'll probably can. But I did it without. it. It nearly impossible. The boss is only 3 hits. I can get the first 2. I cannot get the last one for the life of me because it has the conveyor belts that push you back, and Knuckles is just too fucking slow. You don't have enough time to spin dash because of the conveyor belt, and your glide basically loses all momentum, and your jump is lower because it's Knuckles. So I'm pretty sure his jump is lower. Anyway, yeah, you get super fucked by that boss as Knuckles. But anyway, going into like stage design and stuff. So as we've already talked about, the Chaos Emerald's in the game, of course, and getting all 7 is required to playing the last story. But each Chaos Emerald actually gives you a specific power that you can use in the stages and in the bosses. So you have Avatar, you have Bullet, you have Vision, you have Water, or whatever it's called, Ivy, Slow, and then your special attack. And then, of course, once you get all 7, you can transform into your super version. So each of those can be used basically whenever you want, and you can use them. You can use them once until you get to the next checkpoint, and then it recharges for you. So basically, you can use it as much as you can until you get to the next checkpoint, or you use it once, and then you get to the next checkpoint, and then it like reloads, so you can use it again. So there's several like points in the stages, like for example with like Vision, where you'll be running and then it'll give you a prompt to activate Vision, and then there'll be like a hidden area that you can get to, that you can only get to if you have the Chaos Emerald that's associated with the power. Or there's certain sections where like you have to use the Ivy to get up to a certain area, or you have to use Bullet to get up to a certain area, or use the Avatar to break some certain walls. So it has like certain sections like that are kind of like Metroid, right? Where you get a power, you can go back to a stage that you didn't have that power before, and you can unlock a new area or a new pathway. That's essentially what's going on here. And I think for the most part, they're very cool. And a lot of people do not understand that you can use them in boss fights, because I've seen a lot of people get really like pissed off at the length of the boss fights, including me, because I didn't really use them much. But now that I know that you should use them, it makes certain boss fights, like the final boss, way easier. Way fucking easier. If you actually utilize your Chaos Emerald powers, it makes things very, very easy. So, I'll talk about each power. So Avatar summons, that's probably the most common one that people know about, the one where you summon a bunch of like your characters on the screen. That one can break certain walls and can hit bosses and enemies. It lasts a decent amount of time, and in certain bosses you can get a good like 2 or 3 hits on them, depending on the cooldown factor. So that makes certain things like the last part of the final boss pretty good, because once you get to the final attack, you can just activate the fucking Avatar, and you'll just get like 3 hits, and then you just need 1 more and you beat it. So you can use it in very good, in a lot of sections. Avatar, I think, is the most useful. It's the first one you get. Then you have Bullet, which basically functions like, kind of like the Burst Wisp, where you kind of like just get like infinite like air dashes until it like runs out. Vision, as we said, unlocks like different like hidden areas and rings. Then there's the Water one, which can be used on like waterfalls that you'll find. But it also can be used in the underwater sections of Lagoon City, which, again, I talked to some people and they're like, oh, I had no idea you could do that. You didn't know you could use the fucking water power-up in the water? So
I think they tell you that too, like when the trailers and stuff, like.
I think so, yeah. So you can use the water chaos power in the water, and you basically like swim like really fast. It's like if you had like the fucking frog suit in Mario 3. So, or I guess more specifically, it kind of controls like the hover wisp or something. Kind of. Maybe more like the drill wisp. I don't know. And then you have Ivy, which completely breaks the game. I don't know, Em, if you've tried this, but in certain sequences, if you use the Ivy, this is probably going to be used in speedruns, by the way. If you use the Ivy power-up and you like position yourself weird on a wall, it will warp you to the other side of the screen and put you at like full fucking speed. Yeah, I figured this out, and I was like, the Ivy went from being like not that useful to this is probably like gonna be speedrun tech.
Okay,
like,
that's some.
You gotta try it out. Yeah, if you like, it's not every wall, but there are certain places where if you like use the Ivy and like kind of like push yourself into the wall, it kind of does what those those old Sonic games used. The older Sonic games did, where people use it, where like if you get stuck, it'll like warp you. Like that's how speedruns do, like any percents. That's probably like a similar idea what's happening here. You like get stuck, and then it just like fucking like slingshots you to the other side of the screen and like puts you at like full speed, like faster than you can, basically as fast as you were going. If you like in like some of the most like fastest sequences in the game, like you're rolling down a massive hill or something, it gives you that amount of speed. So it's like crazy. It's a massive slingshot boost.
I'm gonna have to look some videos and then actually try that, because that's some cool. That sounds cool. That sounds like some cool tech. Yo.
Yeah, and it's
Alright.
cool. And then slow obviously is a time break. It slows down time, so you can move at the same speed, but enemies and stuff slow down, make certain boss fights trivial. And then the last thing you get with the 7th Emerald is the extra attack, which depends on the character you have. Like Amy will throw like hammers, and then I think Trip will throw like a fireball, and Tails will do like his like tailspin win from like Adventure. So like characters have like their different like weird things that they can do, but also you get their super forms. So unfortunately there's no like cool looking like Super Tails, Knuckles, or Amy. Like it's still like the same, where it's just them glowing. Super Sonic looks the same, and then Trip has her own super form, which I will not spoil, but it's funny. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know, Em, what do you have to say about like the Chaos Powers? Do you find them cool? Do you use them at all? Do you find them like annoying? Like,
None of the Chaos Powers are annoying. I enjoyed every last bit of them. Just so great. I feel like there could be more to be desired, because I'm right now using Vision right now. I've wished like there was more to these Chaos Powers, but for what it's worth, I'm not, for what it's worth, and considering that this is like their first time using it, really I'm really not complaining about it.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, in the future, I would like to see them more in use I would like to see these come back in future games and stuff. The super forms, I did find out that like, how like we used to have like Super Sonic, Super Knuckles, Super Amy, and Super Tails. Well, apparently you got one of the what's it called? When you get all the 7 Chaos Emeralds, Sonic will have Super Sonic, and the rest of them will say Amy, Knuckles, and Tails can use superpowers, which kind of sours me, because like it's like okay, you guys done this before, where you could say, hey, this is Super Tails, this is Super Knuckles, this is Super Amy. Why are you guys going back and just doing that? I don't get that. It's just like, it grinds my gears. So
I guess they don't want like characters to be considered just as powerful as Sonic. Like they want Sonic to be the most powerful. I don't know.
I mean, super form. Everybody with the super form is going to have something that Sonic can do. Are gonna have like different abilities. That doesn't mean that it's going to be more powerful than Sonic. They could be as equal as Super Sonic. They just have their own, abilities and stuff. That's oh boy. I can't go on this rant because it's too late and it's already midnight.
Yeah, it's pretty late, so
Yeah.
well, I mean, there's not too much more to say. We're gonna talk about sort of like the levels and such, and like the stage design. I think the levels are fun. They're fun. People that like say they're too slow or they keep getting stopped, they just suck ass, or they're not like, they don't understand. Like, this game has plenty of like speed sections and such, especially near the beginning of the game. The later in the game it gets a lot harder, so I'll say that. And there's not as many speed sections, but hey, that's just kind of Sonic, where they kind of throw everything at you at the end.
Well, I'm just saying, from what I've learned about the design philosophy of Sonic, as you keep on replaying the games, as you keep on getting better, the speed, eventually, you will start to go ahead and go faster at those stages, and the speed, the reward being speed to go, the reward being the speed. You'll feel like you'll be as fast, as quick, reactions and everything. So I feel like the stages are going to be harder at first, but as you get better,
Yeah.
you'll get faster. It's
Yeah,
just
Yeah. I noticed the stages on average are going to be longer. They're definitely longer than the average Sonic stage. If we compare to maybe something like Mania. But I didn't find any of them to be a drag. I found them all to be paced rather well. Even at the 5 to 7 minute average mark, I never found it to be too bad. And that's on a casual run, right? If I get better at the stages, I can get beat them a lot faster. Just like a Sonic game where you earn speed and learn the levels and get better at them, because the speed is there. You just have to know how to play. It's not just going to be given to you, which is like the classic games. So I think a lot of people sometimes forget that.
I think that's that's why people don't really like Sonic as much, or don't get the appeal of Sonic as much, in my opinion, is because it's about it's different from something like Mario or Crash Bandicoot and stuff. And I feel like people don't really understand that as well at face value and stuff. So that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah. I mean, they're fun. I want to go back. I want to learn the levels more. The way you access special stages is the hidden rings again, so it kind of makes you want to explore. Another thing in this game, you can only get 1 Chaos Emerald per zone, so you can't just camp Bridge Island and get 5 there. You have to actually make your way through the game, which does encourage at least a little bit of trying to explore every stage instead of just memorizing one and then just blasting through the rest of the game with Supersonic. That's fine, do whatever way you want, I guess. I don't really mind either, right? Because Mania was the older style, and that's okay. That's fine. It is that's just the way they did it here, and I'm okay with it. It's not a big deal. There's also a fruit axe that you can play in. You get this fruit sometimes on the you'll find it in the stage, or it'll be on the Flicky capsule. It's it's a little bonus stage that you can play for emblems and such. It's not it's inconsequential because there's no lives in the game. So it's just it's just a fun little bonus stage to play. And then the new special stages for Chaos Emeralds they're not the half pipe, which is good. They're this grappling hook weird thing. They're actually pretty cool. I like them. They're a bit weird. I do like the 5th one a lot because it's harder, and it's not like the other ones where you have to chase it. It's actually one where you kind of have to look at where it goes and kind of camp where it is, and then just there's a little bit more of strategy with it. So I do like that. There are a lot of emblems in the game that are meant for the battle mode, which I do not give a fuck about, but these things are scattered everywhere. So yeah, they're just literally a currency for the battle mode, which does have a Knights reference, which is cool. There's also these I already said the checkpoints have the Sonic 1 special stages, but there's also these blue warp portals that'll open up that have a time limit to get into them, and you'll get into them and it'll take you to a bonus ring area, and then it'll basically warp you to a different section of the stage. So it's like a warp pipe essentially. So those are pretty cool. But the load times on Switch suck ass. Holy fuck. That's another reason not to get the Switch version, is the load times suck. You'll go into them and then it'll load. You're oh. And on PC it's literally instantaneous. So a little unfortunate there. But yeah, anyway, stage gimmicks aren't too obtrusive. Press Factory has Press Factory Act 1 has a machine that's changing like the stage layout all the time. That'll make you like jump, kind of like Wacky Workbench. And then you have Press Factory Act 2, which has this like constant enemy that's gonna kill you, and then you need to get the turn on the switch to reset its timer, which is kind of like the Sandopolis ghosts. And none of the gimmicks feel overly intrusive. Like all of them feel like they're not too bad. They're fun enough. I think the only one that's kind of whack is Speed Jungle Act 2, where it has like the little like light that follows you. That one is hell in multiplayer. That one's like really crazy. Anyway, just so we can kind of move on because it's getting late. We'll talk about like the value of the game and like the length of it. So my first playthrough of this game took me about do you have anything to comment on, M, in terms of like the level design or stages or anything like that?
No comment. You said everything you need. You said everything that was on my mind.
Okay, cool. So anyway, this game, my first playthrough took me, I think, about 4.5 hours. Most of that was due to the trying on the final boss. And then the trip section took me probably a little bit longer, just because that final boss was pretty difficult. And then the last story is like 10 minutes. So yeah, my first run through took me probably around maybe 7 hours. But now if I just want to play like a normal playthrough of the game, just the main story mode, not the trip story mode or the last story, it takes about 3 hours, which is about the same as Mania, which this game costs $60, so I can absolutely understand somebody not liking that value at all. This game does have padding as a result, right? So you have the main story mode, which is about 3 hours, and then you have the trip story, which is essentially the same. Some things are remixed, right? But that's, basically you're playing through the exact same game again. That's about 3 hours. And then you have the final thing, which is, I think most casual people are probably going to be looking at like an 8-hour game, 9-hour game. And I think for a platformer like that, I think a lot of people just are not willing to spend that much money. I say like 8 to 9 hour because the final bosses and final levels probably would be pretty challenging for them. But if you're particularly like good at them, or use the chaos powers and use like a broken character like Amy, you can probably finish it in a similar amount of time I can finish it as like Sonic or something. Which for a lot of people, right, a 6-7 hour game is not acceptable, like for $60, and that's totally fair, right? I think those people would be very scared if they went back to like the PS2 days where there were like licensed games that were like $50 and those were like 5-6 hours.
Yeah, all those movie the game games.
Yeah. Even like PS3 era stuff. They're fucking like a lot of those like licensed games, some of them were only like fucking 4 or 5 hours. Like those are bad. I mean, those were bad values too. Like, I'm not saying that was good, but I'm just saying like Sonic Superstars is not the shortest game for that price I've ever seen. So, but it certainly is maybe not the best value when you compare it to Mania, because Mania was 20 and it's about the same length, and
that value is insane.
Yeah, that value, Mania was very fairly priced. That was an incredibly fairly priced game, and now that game goes on sale for like $5. I mean, it's a fucking no-brainer. Like, that is a great value. So, is Superstars 3 times the value of Mania? Well, that's up to you. That's purely subjective.
Yeah.
For me, like, I don't regret buying Superstars. I don't, for its asking price. But I absolutely understand most people waiting on a sale. I absolutely understand that. If you're a more casual Sonic fan, I think waiting for a sale is, it's because this game will go on sale. It's inevitable. Is absolutely fair. I'm a diehard, so I'll buy it day one. But, for people who are willing to wait, you know, if you wait in for like 40, 30, 40, you know, that's perfect, right? I think the game is worth 40, but I think 30 is going to be a price point that I think a lot of people are going to jump in on. So, or even lower. Anything lower is a steal. Like, if you can see it for like 20, 15, like, that's a steal. It's a great game for that price. But yeah, value is purely subjective. Somebody will absolutely think, you know, this is worth $1 billion. And some people will think this is, you know, not worth that asking price at all. It's offensive. The same people that said Spider-Man 2 is too short. My final clock-in time for that game was like 25 hours. I guess that's too short. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
I assume you didn't even 100% everything, right?
No, I haven't 100%ed everything. I want to do it though, because the platinum trophy on Spider-Man seems pretty easy.
Everybody likes that's the culture of video games now. Everyone wants to just get it done in one, or just wants to have one long experience instead of just having to replay it. You know, replay value is also an important thing in video games.
Yeah,
No.
and I can see myself absolutely going back to Sonic Superstars many times over the years. So that in itself, you know, the amount of plays I get out of it is absolutely worth $60 in the long run.
Right.
But I get some people who just play it like one time through. Yeah, that's probably not worth it to them.
Okay, so I did the boss fight with the mid boss fight with Knuckles. Only had to use Flow and Avatar. That was the result.
I didn't do the Chaos Powers. I'm saying if you don't use the Chaos Powers or don't use Super Knuckles, it's like really hard. Like
yeah, it's really hard, but I decided I could have done it without the Avatar, but I just did it anyways.
The slow will probably be good on that. Yeah, but anyway, I don't know. What do you feel about like the value of the game?
$60. Well, the nature of gaming. Like, I'm not it's the nature of video games nowadays. Unfortunately, that everything, especially a AAA game, will cost $60. Especially Sonic. Sonic is costing $60. That's a new Sonic game like that. It's worth. But at the same time, I can understand if you guys wanted to get it for a sale. Just there's so many games. You know, so many games coming out this week that, you know, Mario, Sonic cost $120. Or you get all three games. Yeah,
like nearly 200.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just you just do what you gotta do. You know.
Yeah.
It's like if you wait for a sale, I can understand that. If you feel like $60 is too much, I can understand that. That's just the unfortunate nature of video games. Like, everything's gonna cost $60 eventually. Like, we're already getting a $70 price for games nowadays, but for what it's worth, like, considering it's a Sonic game and there's replay value, it's $60 worth to me. But I can understand it being like a $40 game. If it was a $40 game, I don't think people would be like this. But
yeah, I think $40 is probably a more fair price point for this. I think if it launched at 40, more people would have been on board. But you know, it is what it is. They launched at 60. You know, people will wait on the sale, and that's fine, right? Value subjective. It's not really like commenting on the quality of the game. It's more so just what they think is worth it. And a lot of people just don't view 2D platformers as worth that price point, just for whatever reason.
Except for Mario, surprisingly.
Well, Mario's Mario, so
yeah,
people will buy it no matter what. But you know, it's the same thing with like when Metroid Dread came out a couple of years ago. Like, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I don't want to buy Metroid Dread at 60 because that's, you know, it's a 2D game that takes like 6-7 hours." But for me, right, that's a very like, that was a great game and was absolutely
amazing.
Yeah,
it was amazing. I'm like, that takes 6 or 7 hours for who? The average player? I'm like, the average Joe wouldn't finish that game and take them 10, 20 hours depending. And trust me, as a person who's played Super Metroid like only one time, it took me probably about 28 hours just to beat it on my first playthrough. You
Yeah,
have to be really good to go in the single-digit hours with Metro Dread.
I think that, or you're just kind of rushing through. I think I just played the game casually. I didn't explore as much as I maybe could have. But I did play another playthrough, and well, that took my time down because I knew what I was doing. But I also was exploring a lot more. But I think bringing it back to Sonic, the the replayability is going to be there for the game. So I don't think the asking price is unreasonable at all for me buying it. But for other people, right, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
So yeah. One last thing to comment on before we go over our final thoughts: the difficulty of the game, or specifically like the difficulty of like the final like bosses, or just talking about the bosses in general. I don't want to spoil it too much because Michael hasn't played, but the final boss, the normal final boss for the main story mode, is a bit tricky. It definitely you need to be on your game for it. The Eggman final boss.
Oh boy.
For both phase 1 and 2.
Yeah, it got very tricky, especially phase 2. I think for me, like I was okay with it. I definitely died a few times, but it was okay. I didn't get too frustrated at it, and especially once you figure out that I should be using the chaos powers, it makes it a lot more manageable. It definitely feels like the bosses you want to use. It was like designed to use the chaos powers in some sections. So it's a bit funny when I try not to use them, or not just try not to, but just forget I even have them. Trips' final boss, though, pretty difficult. That was a very difficult boss. It was basically a harder version of Eggman's, or the regular final boss. So a boss that was already pretty fairly challenging, pretty tricky, got even harder, and that boss was really difficult. Especially because there were some bugs where, it's versus Fang, where Fang will shoot out like a missile or something. You're supposed to hit back at him, and I'll just like phase through it. Or there's like another section where he will he'll do like a nosedive at you. It's during the first phase, and I'll try to hit him, and I'll just phase through him. It's like, oh, okay, awesome. Or he'll drop like some badniks that you have to hit back at him, and yeah, you'll like phase through that too. So it just gets super annoying. I hope that they fix that. I haven't really played that boss fight since those attempts going through it. Just haven't been too interested in going back to it at the moment. But yeah, that was a little annoying, a little buggy. It wasn't like constantly happening, but it was enough to the point where I found it to be noticeably not good. Well, I'll talk about the true final boss after. And what do you have to say about the difficulty of that?
The difficulty of the final boss is pretty hard. Let's see. The final boss for Trip took me 41 hours. No, 41 hours.
41 hours.
41 hours. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that took you 41 hours. It took someone 38 hours to beat the extreme difficulty of the Master Coco Trials, but it took me 41 minutes to beat it on my first try. So
41 minutes your first try? No,
41 minutes.
41 minutes like first time playing it.
Yeah, first time playing it.
Yeah.
If it took me 41 minutes beating it.
Yeah, it's a tricky one for sure.
Yeah, and the final boss, the last story boss, I will say is very tricky, but eventually, as you get better, or as you learn some new tips from other people, you will get better. You will be able to beat that boss.
Yeah. So the true supersonic final boss. I thought that boss took forever, and it does if you don't attack it at certain times where you don't know to attack it, in the second phase where the hands come after you. I didn't know you could hit those back at him if you dash into him. Did not know that at all. But I found the boss fight to be rather easy once you sort of understand it. Like its attacks and like what they do. It's the execution wasn't too demanding for it. You just kind of have to be good at getting rings, and then your Tails and Knuckles will come in and like give you a bunch of rings, and if you touch them, they'll give you like 10 rings. So I think altogether they can give you like 30 rings or something, which is very handy.
I think there's a missed opportunity with that one. I wish they could. I wish this is a high expectation of mine, and I feel like it wouldn't work because it's Sega. Really, that's honestly because it's Sega. They wouldn't be able to do it. They don't have the balls anyways. But I would have liked it if you could have, because like this is a multiplayer game, you know, right? Or at least not a multiplayer game, but like multiplayer is one of the big things you would talk about. I wish they did where you would have the characters all go into their super states, and you all do a 4-player co-op with this, and they didn't do that, and that's disappointing. In that could have worked at least if anything. And oh man,
they could have still had literally like they could have had the exact same boss fight still. They could have just had it like as like a relay system, where like, oh, I'm about to run out of rings and I'll switch to you, kind of like in Sonic 06 for the final boss.
Sonic 06 and Sonic, just oh man, there's just so much missed opportunities.
Yeah, like they yeah, we're like they should have had that. Like make the boss like harder with rings, like maybe it like doesn't give you nearly as many, but you can switch to your co-op partners. Now, I understand that that would not work in single player mode, like if it was just you playing. Well, actually, maybe it could. I mean, you can switch to those other characters.
Yeah, you can switch to them.
And then you'll just control them if you're single player, and then if there's a co-op partner with you, then they'll just control themselves. That could have worked, yeah. I mean, they could have literally kept how it was and just added that aspect. So, yeah, definitely a missed opportunity there for sure. As it stands, yeah, it's okay. It's an okay final boss. I didn't really feel too like crazy about it though.
I think that was the most. I think overall, because of my expectations, I think that was like up there with. I don't even think the end's final boss the first time around, like the original one, was as disappointing because like I was just really indifferent about it.
Okay,
That one, because of my expectations. Now, because of my expectations,
yeah,
I
my
rate that
expectations
low,
were
very high.
sky high in Frontiers,
Yeah.
and they came out with
Yeah.
that fucking like
So
terrible
I
shit.
would I won't put the end's original one because that's very cap. I will admit that. So the very least, it was very disappointing. I would put it in the meh. You
Yeah,
know.
it's whatever. Like it does definitely not the highs of like Death Egg from Sonic 2 or like Doomsday Sonic 3.
And that's kind of worse because when it comes to supersonic boss fights, I love them to death. But
yeah, they can get really epic. So
like the only ones that I'm disappointed with was time eaters and
Time Eater
oh man,
sucks.
let's not go with time eaters, but let's just say that was in the Met here. So
I would say when I compare it to something like maybe Sonic 4 Episode 2 or some other ones, like those final bosses are worse than the one here in Superstars. Even Mania's is a little lackluster as well. But if you compare it to like something like Sonic Advance or Sonic Rush, those supersonic boss fights are pretty good. So it
except the
does.
first one, yeah, except supersonic, except advanced ones. That one may have been like up there, but it wasn't like advanced 2 and 3 just outpaced it really
Well,
well.
yeah. Those ones were better for sure. But as it stands, it's an okay final boss. It's not like terrible or anything, but yeah, you kind of expected a little bit more from it. It's okay. It's not something that I'm gonna like get super upset over. It's just, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. That's my fault for expecting too much from Sega Sonic Team. They're not gonna do it. So if they listening, well, I hope they do it. But if they not, well, that's that's a that's a sad thing to do. But I think those are my thoughts with Sonic Superstars final boss.
For sure,
Guess we
for
go
sure.
to final. Guess we go
Yeah,
through final thoughts.
yeah. I'll let you go first.
All right.
So how do you feel about Sonic Superstars as a whole? I
Overall,
yeah.
oh yeah, go ahead. Finish.
I was just gonna be like, you said you don't really like to give game scores, so you don't have to give it a score, but just like what are some of the things you like about it? What are some things you don't like about it?
Um,
And overall, like where does it kind of rank for you? Like, or like how do you kind of feel about it in the grand scheme of the series?
I feel I really do like it. It's really hard for me to like 2D Sonic games. Rarely, like the classic Sonic games are really good, but they're never really quite high. Like Sonic Mania was all right, but it wasn't really all. It wasn't like Sonic Superstars where I could like play the characters that I really do like, and it just has something new to it. So I that's what I like about Superstars. Everything about it, music, the characters, everything was really good. The cons was definitely the last story, Supersonic Boss, and like the super forms in general. Just the way they've like called them superpowers instead of like super aiming Knuckles and Tails. It's kind of sad and like disappointing a bit, but that's just me. Overall, I would say this and Mario Wonder are both very fun experiences, just different experiences in general.
Uh,
So I would put this up there in the A tier, which is pretty much up there as like good Sonic games that I could go back into and enjoy. I can go back and just be like, yeah, I'll play this game again, and not be and have a joyful time and everything. So
mhm.
I really do love this game. I wish there was more they could have done. There's so much potential with this franchise, and I feel like they just hold themselves back and stuff like they could soar just like Mario if only they just need to do is not hold themselves back,
We've
you
been
know.
saying this for almost 20 years now.
Mhm.
Well, for me, I've never said that until now. Like this
You
is
never had to say it. Sega said that for you.
yeah, well, the 2010s were disappointing for me. That's just all I'll say. I didn't really follow Sonic, so after 2011, so
Mhm.
but yeah, you're right. They've been saying this for a while, but only time will tell. Hopefully, they can. You know, hopefully, I'm really glad that we had two games right now that were really good hits. So, in my opinion, that were really good hits, and Sonic Superstars is really fun overall game. So, keep it up, and I hope to see more. I hope to see more like a better Sonic Superstars next time.
Yeah.
All right, Riley, close us off.
Yeah, I'll take this stance, right? I'm not gonna approach this game at all with like, oh, this game is a quote unquote step in the right direction, or like this game had missed opportunities or missed potential or anything. I'm not looking at it from that perspective. This game is just good. Like this game is just really good. I had a very very good time with this. I don't really feel like this is something that is there room for improvement? Well, absolutely, right? There always is. But I don't view this at all as like something where they're getting better. They're doing better, right? Sega will get there one day. This is a great step in the right direction. Like I'm kind of sick of like I don't mean this to attack you, I'm just saying like this a lot of people say this, and I just
I
don't
understand.
feel
I
I
understand.
don't feel that way at all with Superstars.
Mhm.
I just think this is just straight up good. Like they did a great job here. Like this was a fantastic experience. Had a lot of fun going through this. I'm a classic Sonic fan more than 3D, I would say. So I can be very critical sometimes if they're not that great, but this was a great game. This was an absolutely great game from beginning to end. It is very challenging. It had some very challenging parts to it. I would say it's one of the more challenging classic Sonic games for sure, or classic 2D Sonic games. Right? It's not a old classic game, but in this style, it's definitely more challenging than Genesis games, even without lives. If this game had lives, whew, fuck, man.
Oh, this would have been
This would have been hard as fuck if this game had lives.
this would definitely be the hardest Sonic game with lives. I think
Yeah.
outside of 3 and Knuckles, I believe.
3 and Knuckles, I know that game like the back of my hand, so I don't find that game to be overly difficult. I'd say like games that I think are very unforgiving for like people who are newer are like the Dimps games usually. So that would be
Mhm.
like Advance and Rush, I think are some of the harder games in the series. This game kind of reminds me of those games and their level of difficulty, although not nearly as dickish level design as those games. This
True.
game is hard, but it's not it's not unfair hard. It's not like it doesn't feel like this game is so hard that you couldn't figure it out, like you couldn't do it. That's what it is. It's just you gotta figure out your abilities. You gotta know when to use them. You gotta run. You gotta jump. You gotta perform well. So it just it makes you feel like really good because you have to be good at the game to beat them. Um,
Right.
but yeah, music in this game, very like some of the best in the series. Definitely, there are some tracks that aren't as good, but mostly this is non-stop bangers. All the levels, I didn't find there to be any level in the game that I thought was a drag to play through. Every level was paced well. There's a lot to explore. I had a lot of fun playing through them. Some of the stage gimmicks, especially stuff like in Pinball Carnival Act 2, are just like a really fun stage. Like that's just super great. Um, there's so many stages in the game are just really fun to play. I will say like the boss fights. Some of them are decent. Some of them can be pretty challenging. Some of them can be a little bit slow. So take that for what it is. Graphics and everything. This game looks incredible. As I said, I think I still prefer the way Mania looks. Just sprite art is just something else. But this game looks fantastic. When you're playing this game like in motion, it looks phenomenal. The animations and everything. This looks polished. This looks really good. This is something that like I think stands on par with Mario. And Mario just put out a certified fucking banger with Wonder and how that game looks really polished and
I
expressive.
played
too.
a few stages because Umberto got it. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's
so-
wacky.
Yeah. That
Uh,
game.
you, you'll go wowie zowie.
Yeah. I played. I think. I played offline with that co-op run. I think we got to like World 4 or something. I don't own the game, so I haven't played it since then. But
Yeah.
I had a great time playing it. Just great to have like two certified bangers like come out like back to back from the two like top platforming series.
Mhm.
Sonic is better, but obviously.
I
Yeah, I do genuinely feel like that. Come on.
can't wait to find out. I plan on getting both, so
Yeah.
I'll report back later.
I know it's heresy, but I've always preferred Sonic over Mario. That's just how it is.
Mhm.
But I do respect Mario Wonder a lot. I think that game is fantastic. But anyway, yeah, Sonic Superstars is an absolute blast to play through. I will absolutely be playing through this game in the future again, just to rock through the soundtrack. It's such a great game. And yeah, I think overall I would say like if I were to give it a score, like a number score, I mean I usually don't give too many things scores, but I would probably say like a 9 out of 10.
Ooh. Nice.
So very high for me.
Oh.
I mean, like, right, like I really like classic Sonic, so this stuff is like right up my alley. So this is this is among some of the best. This is pretty much like, I mean, this is in my like top games of the year for sure. This is,
Dang.
for me, this is my second favorite game of the year. Unfortunately, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is too fucking good. That game is too fucking good to pass up. But Sonic Superstars is right up there for me. Like, both of those games are absolutely amazing. So yeah, highest recommendations for Superstars. Fantastic game. Anybody who tells you it's bad is stupid and they should die.
Hey. Wow.
Yeah,
go.
yeah. No, I'm coming for it, man. I'm coming for it. I'm tired
Go
of these
for the
fuckers.
throat.
I'm tired
Yeah.
of these fuckers.
You know, while you were saying all this, Ronald was busy posting on Twitter about Grand Blue versus Rising.
Oh,
Really? Aw, damn. Doesn't even want to be here for his own stream.
Yeah. I posted like half an hour ago. Relax.
Oh shoot! Speaking of that, D-boy, I was gonna let you do the. If it wasn't so late, I was gonna go ahead and let you do the Eggman announcement because I have the Unlimited Bad Works
The
thing.
Oh, well, guess you'll have to say
What?
that for
I
another
have the points
time.
for Unlimited Bad Works, so he's gonna do the Eggman announcement.
Oh lord.
Anyway,
You're making
yeah.
it sound, well, actually, in general, the whole discussion has made it sound pretty promising.
yeah, highly
Now I'm
recommend.
looking forward to
I'd agree
Superstars more than I
with
was
it.
before.
I would put it in the for 2D Sonic. I would put it. Well, the top is 3. Will always be 3. Nothing can beat that. I don't give a shit.
Fair.
Like that game is too like iconic to me. Then Mania, then 2, then 1, and then this game. I understand, right? You know, like we're talking about, like I know fucking Michael like put Sonic 1 down hella low. Look, for me, I played those games when I was young. Those games, it doesn't matter what criticism you have with Sonic 1, 2, and 3. They're bona fide classics. It doesn't matter. Sonic 1 is a 10 out of 10 game for me because
10 out of 10.
they're-
Jinkies.
for me, like any issue you can bring up with Sonic 1 doesn't matter because I already know about it. Yeah, I know Marble Zone is slow. Yeah, I know Labyrinth Zone is slow. Yeah, I know these things. I still like the game. I still like those zones. Like those zones are still fun.
That's how I feel about both Sonic 2 and Adventure 2. Like, you haven't told me something I haven't now, because I grew up playing 2 more than 1, and then eventually got to 3. I didn't get to play 3 as much as a kid, but 2 was like the childhood banger.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the fact that I put Mania above 1 and 2 is like actually kind of insane to me, but I do really like Mania that much. Mania is a perfect game, like 10 out of 10.
Any game that has Ray already a banger, already goaty.
Nope, that's not true.
I
Oh, you
think
don't like Plus?
I don't like Sega Superstar, or not Sega Superstar, Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, the fucking trackball game.
You didn't play with
Whack.
the trackball.
No, I did not play the trackball. I need to go to fucking, what is it, Galloping Ghosts?
Yeah.
They have it.
Yo.
Fuck, that would be crazy. No, I would like to play that on the trackball. Maybe I would like it a lot more then, but Ray is cool in Mania Plus, but he kind of just breaks the game too.
He snaps that game in half.
Yeah, if you're good with the cape in Mario World, you're
Yes,
you're gonna be fucking crazy
That's
with
why I
Ray.
fucking love him.
Like,
Mighty's cool too, but Ray is the goat.
yeah, Ray is clearly the better character.
I think we're
If
gonna
I
need
had
to
a
do
two-
a top
if I had
8
a
ranking
2D
for the next podcast episode, or next maybe, depending on what else comes around. But get your top 8
Obviously
list
we're
ready.
not getting to Prime Season 3. No,
Yeah, fuck
not
that.
who gives a shit anyway?
It's not even out.
It's not even out, and there's just a fucking trailer where it just shows Nine as a
Yeah,
bad guy. Okay,
we
whatever.
can talk
Eat my ass. Die.
more about stuff in the
Uh,
future.
I'm gonna call it a night, you guys.
Yeah, same. I can't believe we gave Ronald 5 hours of free work as he earns all the YouTube dollars.
I don't.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ronald.
Don't get to monetize anything. What are you talking?
Uh-huh. Yeah, right.
Just send $5 to my PayPal.
Yeah, same.
Much.
Unironically
Pay,
same.
pay y'all for my non-monetized content. You love to see
Well, you figure it out.
All right.
Alright.
Good times.
Right.
You gonna
Hey,
sign
y'all.
off, Ronald?
it. Yeah.
I'll stay here with Ronald
All right. Well,
just to sign off. But if you want to
Yeah.
hop off, Michael, go ahead.
I'll stay till the end. It's only
Okay.
proper. Im's not a true. He's not down.
Yeah. All right, Ronald, you can go ahead and close us out. Talk about the next podcast.
Well, I mean, it's still.
Where you collect free labor.
Oh my god. Yet to be established, but whoever's been watching, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see how soon the next Prime season comes out, but just keep an eye out for the next episode. And I appreciate y'all sticking around, and thank you, Riley, Michael, everyone else that was here too for chatting. Good discussion.